Welcome back, folks. My name is LastKnownMeal, and today we're gonna be talking about Cyberpunk 2077, CDPR, the Molasses Flood, and a bunch of other projects which are coming from this company. So first off, when it comes to Cyberpunk 2077 and the future updates, including the expansions, right now we do know that by the end of the year we should be getting the first expansion for Cyberpunk 2077. But before that, I'm pretty sure that we're gonna be getting another like a series of patches and hotfixes at the same time. So what could happen is that maybe during the summer, maybe at the end of the summer, we might be getting another bigger update for Cyberpunk 2077 in terms of content. Now, which content is that going to be? We don't know, because obviously there are still a lot of DLCs that they had planned, especially if you're looking at the Witcher 3, DLCs list, the free DLCs list, obviously. It's quite a big list, so I assumed that we might see like a few more DLCs before the expansion comes out, just because there is this huge gap between now at the end of the year and potentially the expansion might be delayed. So if you want to mitigate that, you might want to provide some new updates into the game, but most importantly, New Game Plus and content updates in terms that people who have finished the game can go back and maybe play out something new, maybe a new street story or a quest, whatever. Now, of course, we do know from CDPR developers, like for example Paweł Sasko, who is streaming on his Twitch, that he is actually working right now with his team and his company on the first expansion for Cyberpunk, but right now, which is expected, they cannot share more information. So right now we don't know where the first expansion is going to actually be. When it comes to updates, this batch of updates is pretty much done. For example, on Steam DB, we can see that the last public branch, or well, the last update hotfix happened 6 days ago, or well, you can see that the last dev branch happened 10 days ago, so it's been quite a while now. At the same time, I do believe right now we're not going to be seeing any new branches for quite some time, just because now they're just going to focus on updating the game and they're not going to be updating branches so quickly. So in a couple of months we might see it. Obviously, this is going to be cut with the release of The Witcher 3 next gen, so for some time we can forget about those updates, and obviously people who want to play The Witcher can play The Witcher, which I do hope that the release date still stays for the second quarter of 2022. So in these next 3 months we should be getting this update if it's not delayed further on. Keep in mind, this is also going to be free if you have any version of The Witcher, excluding the Switch version, obviously. Now, there has also been some rumors and discussion within the community when it comes to third-person perspective, the official one, because there has been some people saying that potentially we might see the official third-person perspective for the game based on some of the hirings CDPR is doing in their company. Now, keep in mind, some of the positions here, and I hate to be that guy, but some of the positions here, even though they might in its nature refer to modeling of the hair and the face and the head and the model, which does serve in an environment that can be third-person perspective, but at the same time it does not necessarily mean it's going to happen. Honestly, there is a 99% chance that we are not getting a third-person perspective for Cyberpunk 2077. There is this 1% that they maybe want to implement it, but at the same time, it's not just removing the camera, there's a bunch of other things you have to take into account. Shooting weapons, how is that model going to look like, animation, walking speed, whatever. It's not just basically doing this and, calling it a day. So until we don't hear anything from developers, and so far, gonna be honest, there was no chit chat whatsoever when it comes to third-person perspective, I'm not going to really count on it that it's going to happen. And based on some of the hirings, it does not necessarily mean it's going to be that. Keep in mind, the first expansion is coming, therefore they're hiring new people that will work on that. I know I always have to be that guy which basically ruins expectations people have, but I also said the same for Metro and everything else. When people said, oh yeah, Metro is gonna be included, then we get the information it's not going to be included, and a bunch of other stuff which, honestly, if they're not including that, I doubt they're gonna be going for a third-person perspective. But if it does happen, it happens. But don't count on it. Now, when it comes to Molasses Flood, a studio which CD Projekt Capital Group actually bought, which is based in Boston, they're now working on their new title, which is going to be set in one of the IPs that CDPR has, which is basically The Witcher or Cyberpunk. Now, right now, we don't know exactly what is that going to be. There are some rumors over here based on career offers that they've been looking for a lot of procedural level generation programmers and developers. For example, they're looking for a PCG programmer, which is the procedural content generation, which does not include only level, but it can include quests, it can include events, and so on. Everything which might be random and it might be procedurally generated. And because when you think about the previous games Molasses Flood has been doing, the survival games, procedural generation has been a lot of their MO, so I wouldn't be surprised if the project that they're working on is somehow connected to that. But now what is it going to be? We cannot know yet. And because they were also looking for some people who are going to be developing multiplayer, people have been saying that there might be some multiplayer in their game, or they might come out with a full like online version of either Witcher or Cyberpunk. Keep in mind one thing, the Molasses Flood studio is not that huge. Now, obviously, now that they're under CD Projekt, they're gonna be getting more money and they're hiring a lot more people, but I still won't expect anything on a scale which the main CD Projekt Red team does, which is like the Witcher 3 or Cyberpunk 2077, because obviously that requires a lot more people, resources, time, so on and so on. So they're gonna be working on something smaller. Is it going to be multiplayer or not? We don't know right now. There is a possibility it might be, because honestly it could be some form of co-op, because Molasses Flood again was kind of looking into that, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Because especially keep in mind, when Molasses Flood was acquired, they said that they want to work on their project, so this is, I think, their idea and they're gonna be working on that. So at the end of the day, they came up with this, so it must be something that they've been doing before. Would I love a multiplayer title if it's good? Yeah. Would I like a co-op title if it's good? Yeah. Now, obviously that depends if something is good or not, but at the same time, making multiplayer titles is a risky move, because, you know, if it fails, it can fail terribly, and then you have to provide constant stream of content into the game to keep people engaged. And especially like if the gameplay loop or the gameplay itself is fun, it's going to be easier, but it all depends. But if you release a single player game with co-op elements, that has more potential to succeed and less, how would I say, risk to fail. So we'll see what's gonna be happening in the end. So to basically sum things up, first of all, I'm sure we're getting a new like major update before the expansion comes out with some free DLCs. At the end of the year, we might see the first expansion for Cyberpunk 2077. There is also a possibility it might be delayed. Again, it's not right now, but it's just my PTSD speaking from me from before, so, you know, it's not surprising. And when it comes to Molasses Flood, obviously we have something which might potentially be multiplayer or some form of co-op. Again, let's wait and see what happens with that, but at the same time it should be interesting, and, you know, it's gonna cut time between, you know, the next Witcher game, second expansion for Cyberpunk, I hope, and, you know, and so on. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. A lot of exciting things are coming. I'm looking forward to The Witcher right now, so that should be coming soon, maybe with a trailer or whatever, but we'll wait and see until they release something. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. If you haven't, well, thank you for watching, and at the same time visit us on Twitter and Discord if you want to continue the discussion there. And also huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. And yeah, this is LastKnownMeal signing out. Stay classy everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.